Our topic is like a question. Was Archaeopteryx an evolutionary breakthrough? And we will try to discuss it with you and maybe answer the question. We will see how it goes. I know that the title is not visible for you, right?
Yes.
It is in the original version because it's on the green background and now it's on the yellow. That's why it's not visible. Oh, yes, that's it's much better.
There's a screw here on the producer. It just doesn't work. Maybe this one here.
We would like to start first from.
But it's recording already.
We want to start from the coin that was minted in 2011 in Germany. After it was to commemorate 150 years after the first major discovery in Solnhofen in Germany. And 150 is also the year because 150 million years ago Archaeopteryx lived, so it's a magical number, so to say. The first major discovery it was in, as you see, in 1861. And we have with Anya two hypotheses to discuss with you. The first one, Archaeopteryx was the first bird. Maybe we'll find out was it or was it not. And the second one, Archaeopteryx could fly actively, so not just gliding but actively flying. And here you have the list of all, I think all the 12 specimens found so far. So the first one, it's called the London specimen, but it's the one from Solnhofen, and the last one from 14, sorry. And you have some photos of those specimens found, and on the other slide also. And first, short etymology issues. So Archaeopteryx means from ancient Greek, ancient wind. Archaeos means ancient, and pteryx means feather. So it's all about feathers today. And a few interesting facts about Archaeopteryx. He had a curved killing claw on the second toe of each foot. These digits, which are visible here, were hyperextendable, so it means it could be held high off the ground to keep the tips sharp, ready for action. The next interesting fact that we came across during our research was the color, because some of traces of the melanosomes were found to get the idea about the color of this dinosaur. It could be black, and it's rather certain that it was a black color. And a few things about the feathers. Flying feathers, or ailerons, like Lotki, right? I have two specimens from Buteo in the common buzzard, Shołów zwyczajny, from my own collection. Ailerons of Archaeopteryx were asymmetrical, just like in modern birds, so it looked like this. And rudders, so the tail feathers, starówki, Maria has one, it's also from common buzzard, were less asymmetrical in Archaeopteryx than in modern birds. And this is a very nice quote because it's also a sense of humor in it. That's why we have chosen it. It's from Lawrence Whitmer, a paleontologist at The Ohio University in Athens. He said something that was somehow a standing point and for us to make our research further. Archaeopteryx was a bird because it had feathers and nothing else had them. But then, other animals started being found that had wishbones, 3-finger hands and feathers. Heck, even T-Rex had a wishbone. So one by one we've learned Archaeopteryx' uniquely avian traits weren't so unique. And you will see in a minute some myths and facts according to Archaeopteryx in modern research. A few ideas and previous research from the beginning to now. Was it really a first bird, or maybe a transitional form between birds and reptiles? What we know that Archaeopteryx had a full set of teeth, a rather flat sternum, so the breastbone, a long bony tail, gastralia, belly ribs, 3 claws on the wing which could have still been used to grasp prey or maybe hang to trees when it was climbing. Feathers, wings, furcula, so the wishbone, as I have already mentioned, and reduced fingers. This picture was very common at the beginning of research with Archaeopteryx, that it was a transitional creature between birds and reptiles. And you have seen some ideas that wing claw, bony tail, many vertebrae, and tooth beak. That were some features connected with the reptiles. And of course, the winged feathers suggested avian character, but it is not so, maybe. Because some of other dinosaurs were dug out, like Corinda dromaeosabaikalicus found in eastern Russia. It also had feathers, but of other kind, but feathers anyway. They look like ribbons, plates, or bristles. They probably was for warmth or signalizing, so the feathers were not so unique, and unique only for birds. What do we know about the internal organs is really interesting. First of all, the brain. Brain, as the researchers thought, was big, so it could suggested avian character. Because we know that birds have rather big brains used for coordinated flight, balance, and sight. It was much larger than most dinosaurs because it was necessary for flying. The parts of the brain responsible for vision were mostly developed, as well hearing and muscles. And the inner ear, this is interesting, the inner ear of Archaeopteryx looks more like modern birds than modern reptiles. Archaeopteryx also had a sensitive sense of hearing, balance, spatial perception, and coordination needed to fly. And here are some myths and facts. We have found 3 myths, 3 ideas that previously been discussed in articles. The first one, Archaeopteryx brain was large, which was characteristic only for birds. But now we know that big Archaeopteryx brain was not a unique feature. So was the brain of theropod dinosaurs. So it cannot be the exact exact point for birds. Archaeopteryx was the first bird. Maybe not, because Aurornis xui was of a similar size, had limbs, claws, and a tail, and lived much earlier than Archaeopteryx, 10 million years earlier than our dinosaurs that have been discussed now. And only birds have feathers, and Archaeopteryx was the first one who had them. But we know that theropod dinosaurs from the lineage that gave rise to modern birds discovered in 1990s also had feathers. And now a few words about the flight and glide.
The bone cortex of Archaeopteryx were vascularized. The deep cortical thickness of lime bones Archaeopteryx was abundant. The humeral and ulnar bone was of Archaeopteryx comparatively thinner than those of any element in the non-volant cycle. reveal a strong affinity with volant birds, but this quality, this taxon has a wing, crocodile, diver, or one assistant flyer. Here you can see empties inside like a modern bird, and contact is complex. Complex. Archaeopteryx without growth.
Growth is later.
The other mitral of Archaeopteryx humeral and ulnar cross-sectional geometry shows more flight related biomechanical and physiological adaptations with modern volant birds than the previously known capability of powered flight. Archaeopteryx wings could fly, so it could evade predators across physical barriers. Archaeopteryx actively use its wings to take to the air. Morphology of the flight apparatus in Archaeopteryx is known to be incompatible with the flight stroke executed by modern volant birds. Archaeopteryx adopted different flight stroke than used by birds today. Archaeopteryx increased relatively slowly compared to modern birds based on growth lines found in Archaeopteryx bone fragments. It reached adulthood in approximately 970 days, approximately 2 years and 8 months, and weight from 0.8 up to 1 kilogram. One of the few modern birds showing slow growth is known volatile kiwi, and they have similar metabolism.
We also like this quote, and I think maybe it's the future, it's our future. The boundary between dinosaurs and birds in the future will completely disappear. And maybe we won't talk about the division between birds and reptiles anymore. And this is a question also for you. And our conclusion is that maybe Archaeopteryx was not the first bird, but it could fly actively. It used its wings and had some reptilian features, but maybe other creatures of his time and before also had a similar situation. So the future will be maybe like this one. And to end our presentation, we would like to say a few words about the mythology and mythical creatures that maybe were inspired by Archaeopteryx. So the first one is a firebird, a griffin, and even phoenix. And I have a very interesting story. My children really like it. It's about the beautiful Pariside. I think it's from Slavic countries like Eastern Slavic. And Pariside had a quest. She had to find 3 weirdness of the world. The first one was the beautiful tree that could sing. The second was the golden river. And the third one was the Bulbulasaur bird. So it was like Archaeopteryx because it was a combination of many other birds. It looked like this. It had wings of a peacock, the neck of a swan, the beak of a stork, the vulture's claws, and the eyes of a swallow. So it was really weird and interesting. And that is all our presentation. Thank you for your attention, and look for our references, our major articles that we used in our presentation, some of the links, and thank you very much.
That's